My name is Renee O'Connor, and I'm a proud educator in my 13th year of teaching in a predominantly black high school in Miami Gardens, Florida.
An African-American history teacher from Florida traveled to Geneva to voice her complaints about Florida's educational standards before the United Nations Human Rights Committee.
This year, the Florida government banned the teaching of advanced placement African-American history in Florida. This both harms black students as well as other students and delegitimizes the field of African-American studies. For me, the biggest affront came this summer when the new Florida curriculum standards around African-American history were passed and included some nonsense quotes such as, "Slaves developed skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit," end quote.
Renee O'Connor, who was nominated for Miami-Dade Public Schools Teacher of the Year in 2022, is currently on sabbatical. She says she could not keep teaching under the current circumstances.
And the only time changes happen in America is when people have stood up for their rights and demanded a change. So this is the way that I'm standing up on an international scale to let them know what is happening in Florida, in hopes that people will register to vote and demand that students, not only in Miami, students not only in Florida, but the United States, are taught the truth about this country.
Members of Florida's Community Justice Project invited O'Connor to travel to Switzerland with a group representing Florida's civil society. They came armed with a report claiming that Florida's policies stoke fear in marginalized communities, restrict freedom of expression, stifle truth in education, and attack immigrant communities.
The main goal that really we wanted to have out of the UN is to amplify the stories of what's happening here in Florida. At the very least, begin any sort of investigation or consider any intervening steps that really could be had on behalf of Florida citizens.
As for the Florida governor, he believes his policies should be emulated.
We're the model for success in education. We're the model for success in having low crime. We're the model for success in having economic opportunity.
Back in Geneva, after they presented their grievances to the UN committee, the U.S. UN delegation took about a day to analyze them. How was that message received, in your opinion?
We just felt that the United States did not intend to come to really solve any issues.
Many of the activists couldn't help but showed their disappointment.
It resulted in kind of a spontaneous protest of the U.S. civil society members standing up and turning their backs on the U.S. delegation at the end of their closing remarks, so that they understood that although you were closing, we haven't received the responses that we wanted. And so we wanted to be clear that we expect better answers from the United States government that sees itself as a beacon of democracy throughout the world.
Despite the tepid response from U.S. officials, these organizers, having directly impacted people on the international stage, raising their concerns as to what's happening here in Florida, consider their trip to Geneva a success. Nitza Soledad Perez, CGTN, Miami.